All right, this is the Honors Pre-Calculus, Chapter 7.3, the Part 1 of the Trigonometric Equations. So let's get started. So attention. So what we're doing is a little different from 7.1, 7.2, where we were targeting one specific quadrant for specific trig functions, or I should say the inverse of trig functions. Okay, but here we're gonna be focusing on all quadrants. Okay, so you're gonna have to list out all the possible measures for theta. So let's look at number 14. So start with subtracting 1 on both sides. What we're trying to do is to isolate theta, right? So we have negative cosine theta equals to negative 1/2. So what I'm going to do is that we know that if you multiply by negative 1 on both sides, you're going to have positive cosine equals to positive 1/2. Okay, next thing I want to do is put the inverse cosine on both sides. Okay, what that does is that it's going to cancel out with the cosine. So I'm going to just erase it. Now I just have theta equals to inverse cosine 1/2. So that gives you two possible measures. So we know that 1/2 is basically saying x over r. Okay, so x is 1, r equals to 2, x equals to 1, r equals to 2. So theta equals to 60 degrees or 300 degrees. Okay, you should write that in radians. So instead, I'm going to write it as pi over 3 and 5 pi over 3. Okay, so that will be your answer. Okay, let's look at number 16. So first thing I want to do is just to subtract 1 on both sides. Okay, so you got cosine theta equals to negative 1. Okay, next thing you want to do is you're going to put the inverse cosine on both sides. Okay, that allows you to cancel with the cosine and isolate the theta. Okay, so I'm going to use eraser, erase this. So now theta equals to cosine, an inverse cosine negative 1. So we know that negative 1, this is basically saying that x equals to negative 1. So only one you're going to have is theta equals to 180. Okay, so theta equals to 180, you can write it as pi. Now let's look at number 20. So first thing I want to do is to just isolate the theta, right? So add 3 on both sides. So we have 5 cosecant theta equals to 5. Okay, divided by 5 on both sides. Okay, so we have, let me just erase it, try to save some space. So now we have cosecant theta equals to 1. Okay, let me put the 1 right here. So next thing I want to do is put the inverse cosecant on both sides. Okay, so that allows you to cancel with the cosecant. So now theta is isolated. So we have cosecant. So cosecant is basically saying r over y. Okay, so which means that r equals to 1 in this case, and then y equals to 1. So only one you're going to have is going to be theta equals to 90. So you're going to write theta equals to pi over 2. Okay, let's look at number 22. So first thing you want to do is you want to subtract 3 rad 3 on both sides. Okay, these are canceled. So you have 4 sine theta equals to negative 2 rad 3. Okay, next thing you want to do is you want to divide by 4 on both sides. Okay, cancel. So you have sine theta equals to negative rad 3 over 2. Okay, the next thing you want to do is you put the inverse sine on both sides. So let me push this out a little bit. So sine, inverse sine. So this would be negative rad 3 over 2. Okay, so these are going to cancel out. So I'm just going to use eraser to erase it. So now I just have theta by itself, right? Okay, now let's analyze this. So sine is y over r. So which means that y equals negative 3, you got two possible measures. Okay, so you know that the measure is 60-degree angle, central angle. So which means that this one is 240 and this one is going to be 300. Okay, so you're going to express your theta in radians, which is 4 pi over 3. This is for 240. And then another one is 5 pi over 3. This is for 300. Okay, let's look at number 24. So first thing I want to do is understand that how do you get tangent by itself is to square root both sides. Okay, so after you square root both sides, you're going to get tangent theta. Now it's by itself, but be careful because you're about to get positive square root of 1/3. Another one is going to be tangent theta equals to negative square root of 1/3. Okay, so square root 1/3, we can rewrite it as positive 1 over radical 3, negative 1 over radical 3. Okay, so I'm going to do is I'm going to erase this part. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the inverse tangent on both sides. Okay, so what that does is that these are going to cancel. Let me pull out my eraser and erase this out. So now my theta are isolated. Okay, so we know that tangent is y over x. So y over x. Okay, so you got two possible answers for, let's just talk about this pair right here. Okay, so y over x, you can analyze it as positive 1 over positive rad 3, or you have another choice, negative 1 over negative rad 3. Okay, both of them is going to give you positive 1 over rad 3. Okay, you don't have to rationalize this because we're just trying to find the measure. So these two are basically going to be these two triangles here, which is 30, and another one is going to be 210. Okay, let me change my color. Let's talk about this one right here. So you got two possible measures for that. Okay, so the first one is going to be the negative 1 for the y over positive rad 3. Another one is going to be positive y over negative rad 3. Okay, so for the negative 1, this one right here is that angle over there. So that's the 330. Okay, for this one right here, it's going to be the one in quadrant 2. Okay, so this one is going to be 150 degrees. Okay, so now let's write everything in radians. So we have, I'm gonna differentiate in different colors. So we have 150 is 5 pi over 6, and 330 is going to be 11 pi over 6. Okay, for the 30 is going to be pi over 6. For the 210 is going to be 7 pi over 6. Okay, so these are your answers.